fascinating. And the fact that, I don't know if you feel compelled or, did you work closely with the Emoto or, and
yes.
tell us about him. Tell us what kind of man he was.
He was a very honest person. He was very, because he worked so much with water, he learned so much from water. He was so honest, and also he had the heart of a little boy. Well, all the little boys are really honest to you.
Yes, yeah, innocence.
Yeah, innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he was. This is his passion. And were you there when he first discovered this, or is this something you came on afterwards?
He discovered it in 1998, but I started working in 2004.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
No, that was 1998. He discovered the water crystals in 1980s, I think.
1980s. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I started working in 2004.
Okay.
So.
And his book's been out, The Hidden Message in Water, for a while now, and also The Messages from Water. So
exactly.
I mean, and I don't know when it was produced, but just think about that for a second. And I just want you to kind of clarify a little bit, because people have to understand thoughts and feelings have physical properties. He was able to prove that. So, and like I said earlier, it's about capturing freezing water molecules, and at the moment of sharing your intention, your thoughts, right, and feelings. So, can anybody experiment this? Can anybody do this experiment?
Sure, if they want to, but if they, what they have to do is they have to have the refrigerator, walk-in refrigerator, and freezer in the refrigerator, microscope in the camera. If they have that facility, anyone can start to do it.
Okay.
And there are some people doing that too. So. Okay.
Well, so it's not as simple as getting an ice cube tray and staring at it for a couple of hours and then putting it back in again, and then and then pulling it out. But so definitely the experiment is more complicated than that apparently. But my point is, it can be replicated.
Sure.
And part of the scientific method is, one of the last stages is that you have to be able to replicate the experiment for it to be valid.
Exactly, yes. And we have to be. One thing I have to let you know is that we are not able to replicate or reproduce the exactly same water crystals. As you know, none of this, there's none of any exactly same snowflakes.
It's like fingerprints.
It's like fingerprints.
But you can have an experiment where you're showing the congruency of the symmetrical state and the thoughts that were prior, and the asymmetrical state of the molecular structure when the thoughts were negative.
Correct.
On a collective. Okay. Hey, listen, that's proof enough for me.
Well, thank you. As Dr. Emoto always said, he was asked by many people, or especially scientists, if he can reproduce exactly the same thing, he would say no, because in natural world there's nothing that is exactly the same. Even like there are billions of people living on this earth, but no single person is exactly the same, even though we are twins.
Yes.
We're different.
Yes. Well, so, well, there's experiments too people do with rice. Leave 3 bags of rice out, right? And and you, for one bag, you focus your intention on very positive thoughts. And on the other bag, you focus your attention on negative thoughts. And on the third bag, you don't give it any intention, right?
No intention. Okay. Ignore it.
But the decomposition of the rice, of the 3 different types of rice, will decompose at a slower or faster rate based on the intention or no intention, right?
Right, because it's energy.
It's energy. So, I mean, people could do that experiment without having to have freezers.
Oh, yeah. At home, they can do it. It's so easy. All they have to do is, whether it's cooked or whether it's not cooked, it doesn't matter, because as long as it has water in it, water is the one that responds to the words or our intention. So that's something that they can do. All they need is to get 3 different jars and rice and water. That's all.
Michiko, do people get it when you talk about this, or like, oh, that's cute, Oh, yeah.
Well, these days, I think there are more and more people who are really accepting this fact. Well, it used to be a lot more people used to think it's really,
Okey pokey. It's woo-woo.
Yeah. But these days, more and more people really think that it's something very important, So, I think Dr. Emoto did really a wonderful job to spread this message. It's so important for everyone. Once you learn it, our life really changes for the better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. What doesn't have water in it, right?
Right.
So, and moisture, if anything. So, real quick, we were talking about the rice experiment, and I think this is a great experiment that you could share your kids or at home. You could do yourself. Set the experiment up, Michiko. Set it up where you have 3 jars of rice, and I think you would see faster effects if it was cooked, right?
Right.
Okay, so
I think if it's cooked, it's faster.
Yeah. So let's cook rice, just white rice, right? It doesn't matter to be any type of rice, right? The more processed, the better, right? for it to decompose worse, So go ahead, walk us through it.
Okay, so the important thing is that what I would recommend that you write words, thank you, or you fool, and ignore it, and glue those words, each word on each jar. And if you want, you can say each word accordingly to each jar of rice every day and see how the rice responds.
Now, they could be next to each other. They don't have to be like in separate rooms. You don't want to ignore one getting a positive intention, or you're not.
Yeah,
it's your focus. It's your intention, right?
Exactly,
right.
Exactly. And I did it myself at home, and I made 4 different jars. One was love and gratitude. The other one was thank you. And the third one was you fool. And the last one was ignored. And the result was accordingly, just love and gratitude was beautiful. Wow. And ignored was the worst.
The worst.
And I would like everyone to see it. You can do it with different words, like I love you and I hate you. One positive, beautiful word and one negative word, and see the difference. Or you can also do it with plants or flowers. Because everything has water. Well,
think about that with plants. I mean, we know now. I mean, they hooked up electrodes to plants, and so when you cut it, there's like this scream, or there's this high electrical. I don't want to say scream, but there's this electrical increase in charge, which could be just as much if like I cut your thumb, Wahid. There'd be electrical charge, right? Of course, a lot of blood too and everything, but you may scream. I don't know. But but my point is that plants respond to not only physical touch, but they respond to our words and our feelings, don't they?
They do. We just don't see it because we don't. They don't speak to us. Yeah. I mean, our language. They are speaking in their languages, but we don't hear it. But they are actually communicating with us. They're talking to us. And when we cut the flowers, they are really hurt.
Right.
But when they say, you're so beautiful, thank you, and they try to please us even more.
Wow. I love that. I love the personification of animals and flowers, because the more we could do that, the more I think we're more likely to connect with our soul and our interconnectedness with these what we consider in the past, ignored things in life, or we just take advantage of it. So what's responding to your intentions in plants is the water inside the plants.
The water inside the plants. Exactly.
Why is water the best conductive? Why not like other type of liquids?
Because water is life. And water, in everything, water is within everything, and without water, nothing can exist. And water is water can has a memory.
Yeah, memory has memory. That's it. Okay.
And transmit information.
Right.
And because there's water in the air, we can hear the vibration when we hit some things. Everything is vibration, but we cannot see it. But we can hear it when we hit it.
Right.
We can hear the sound because there's water in the air.
Right.
Yes.
Moisture. So moisture is a conduit not only for just for your thoughts, but actually for physical properties too, as well. You know, like you said, hearing, your five senses. You know. Tasting, right? So it's amazing and where water is, and it may be like right now in this room, Wahid, there's a certain level of moisture.
Right.
You know, we can't feel it, but there's a certain level of moisture. You know, so and that's why probably things communicate and move quicker and faster. But back to the element of water and how our thoughts play with water. Other liquids would be affected by our thoughts as well.
Well, as long as if it's liquid, yes, I would say yes, because they contain certain amount of water always.
Right.
Our blood, when we talk about our blood, it's 95% water.
Huh. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I know why I didn't think of that, but yeah. You're right.
And you know, Dr. Pollack, who discovered the fourth phase of water, he says that blood is almost all fourth phase of water, and on the fourth phase of water, that's where water has memory.
Water has memory.
So, yeah.
Well, you know.
So you can tell.
Well, that brings so many different, ways, and so many pragmatic reasons why we should be very careful of our thoughts and feelings, because if our blood is 95% water, water is water, and water is in the atmosphere, water is in our body, water is all around us, and it's most conducive or conductive for our thoughts to affect, then the stinking thinking can be very detrimental, not only to what's inside our bodies, but also what's outside of ourselves.
Exactly. It's everywhere. Without water, there's no world. The earth itself does not exist. We do not exist. Nothing can exist. So even though we cannot see water in the air, there's water everywhere. And my intention, my thought is being connected with you, with everyone, beyond time and space.
Right.
It goes everywhere instantaneously.
Right. Because there's water everywhere. And I wonder if water is the main conductor of that. Like, for example, because we heard about law of attraction, and when you get into, even now, quantum physics supports these type of things. It's not just woo-woo anymore. What are you going to say?
I know that a law of attraction is, it's a resonance. When we resonate, I always try to explain what the resonance is, but when we are, when we resonate, vibration, let's say if I want to be happy or healthy, then a lot of times we intend to say, oh, I'm tired today, I just had this and bad things and this happened. When we start to complain, that vibration, low vibration, will attract or will resonate with the lower vibration that I'm saying, how I'm feeling, and then come back to me. That's what I'm bringing. So if I want the happiness or good health, then it's the best if I would be feeling what I want to.
Do you think that this process uses water as a conduit to attract these things? Yeah, exactly.
That
would make sense. That would make sense to me, I mean,
Definitely, that's what water is doing. Because we already know from the experiments that water is the conduit, or because of water that carries this information instantaneously and resonate with the universe, and they come back to us right away. I mean, it's that quick.
Right. Emoto's Peace Project, Emoto's Peace Project, that she's the director of, and she's carrying his work forward. And amazing woman who so many different talents, and you just couldn't let this die off, could you?
Well, this is too important to have it die off.
Right. It is. It's life-saving, honestly, because, once and it's, to me, like, first, like Susan always says on our show, she says, first you have to intellectually believe it, and then you could bring it to your emotional aspect of your life, And when science and quantum and science and experiments like this that go beyond what we learn in school, because they don't want us to know our own power, right? Because you could control, people who don't use critical thinking easier. That just slipped out of my mouth, didn't it? So here you're showing the actual life science experiment where you can now intellectually understand how important your positive thoughts are and positive intentions, because it affects everything.
Everything.
Like Michiko, just talk about our health. Let's just focus on thoughts and feelings affecting inside our body, because we're mainly water. I mean, how far can you talk about? I mean, is this why we have chronic illnesses? Because we are raised, when we are small, we are raised we are told to take this medicine, take this supplement, go to the doctor. We have the fever, they say, oh, you have a fever, let's go to the doctor and get the medicine, all that. There's a reason why our temperature goes higher, because at that time our body is trying to kill all the germs and viruses. So because of by temperature going higher. Yeah. But what we do is just to go to the doctor, to the hospital, to clinics, and take a lot of medicine. Nowadays, we say that we spend more money for medicine or supplements than what we eat. Yeah, I know. And I'll tell you what, it's probably not a bad idea to take supplements than just eat food these days, because most of the food we eat are not even food. It's like plastic. It's processed. It's not it's GMO. It's genetically modified. I mean, literally, unless you've gone organic and non-GMO or whatever the case may be. And most of us are eating glyphosate no matter what, because it's in everything to some degree, which is Roundup poison, by the way. And so you're right. You don't have to do all that, but if we could just use our thoughts to help assist in healing our bodies.
And also, by the water showed that how powerful, how beautiful mother's hands are. When we here in Japan, when we say that the children are really small and when they get sick, mothers would put their hands and they say, get well, you will be well soon. And then the children will get well very soon. Things like that.
The placebo effect. The placebo effect.
Exactly. And it's free, and with love, it happens.
Listen, love is the critical point you just said there, and what you're saying though is so powerful, because when we have this is where I think most people don't give ourselves credit. When we think about our day, we think, oh, I had good thoughts, I had a good day, I had not a good day, whatever. But what we're really not doing, slowing down enough and listening to our self-talk. I mean, if we could hear ourselves, because the majority of us, we have 70,000 thoughts a day. Majority of them, 80 to 90% are negative or detrimental. But a lot of them are below threshold. We don't even realize what we're saying, right? And so every time like something happens, something goes wrong, go, oh, you're so stupid, Tim. Why'd you do that? What a stupid thing to do. You wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say that to a child. You know that? I mean?
Right. You don't want to say that.
But you say it to yourself over and over again, right? So think about what that one statement's doing to our water and our cells.
Exactly. So what I always say is that everybody has their own habit of what we think, how we think, what we say. So let's observe what our thoughts are, what our habits are.
Right.
And then try to switch to the positive thoughts, positive words. You know, and it's okay when we, by mistake, when we say something or when we think something negative, but when we switch to the positive, then it can change real quickly. So it's good to observe ourselves. And you know, we make 35,000 decisions a day.
Wow. No wonder I have a headache. No wonder I have a headache. Come on. Let me cut that in half, you know? Let me go 15,000, 17,000 or something, you know?
That's true.
I need an assistant. You know, maybe I need to cut that in thirds.
I told you.
But that's crazy. And think about that. Think about that stress and pressure when you're making 35,000 decisions. You know, I mean, what if you get?
Let's make positive decisions.
Yeah, right.
Beautiful, kind decisions.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a shame because it does affect us. And when people say, well, you know, I got cancer or I got this disease. Yes, from our toxins, outside environment can assist in this process, but our stinking thinking, Michiko, our stinking thinking really can only exacerbate it and make it worse, and because it's going to affect the molecular structure of the cells because it's made up of water. How can it not? If we know in this experiment that you all have done over the last decade or two, and few, then why wouldn't it affect our bodies? And it does. And we have to connect the dots. We have to realize how important that is, right?
You know, yes, exactly. And I know people who have healed themselves from cancer at the very critical level of cancer, 4th stage of cancer. Also, there are my own father who passed away from cancer, but he was well until he found out that he had 4th stage of cancer. The next day, the doctor said, his doctor said that he had 4th stage of cancer, that if he wanted to treat himself, then he had to have the surgery right away the next day. But my father was 81 years old at that time, so he said, well, I would like to heal myself. Then the medical doctor said, no, you can't do it. So that really affected himself. He believed he could not heal himself. The following day, he could not get up. Then he made himself really sick until the day before. He was well, walking and doing everything around.
Within a 24-hour period, based on, you know, they call that the nocebo. They call that the nocebo effect. And you know, and this is why I think it's a crime. Honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, Michiko, because that's a great point. It's you know, it's not a crime, but it should be that doctors should never tell any patient they got 6 months to live or they got, you know, you're really going to die from this, you know. And I know a lot of them are doing it because they feel like, you know, they've seen it over and over again and they have a history of this. But each person is uniquely different and their thoughts and feelings are uniquely different. And they have to, if they we're a little more inclined to understand the power of intention and the power of thought and feeling, then they would probably less likely to put those programming thoughts in their heads, because they have done studies where doctors would go to mistakenly go to somebody, a patient in the room, and say that, listen, you got 2 months to live, right? And the person dies in 2 months, but you know it was the wrong patient. That person only had a minor issue, and the other person you need to go to. And they have studies of this where the nocebo effect. I know
so easily
because your belief system creates
belief system is so strong, affects us so strongly. It's powerful because it's our own energy that makes us everything. Right. And can I share this book
with
the children? The Message from Water for Children. It's a children's book that share how powerful our thoughts are, the water is, through all the crystals that Dr. Emoto took.
Right.
And Emoto Peace Project is distributing this book to all children for free of charge to children. Of course, with donations.
Sure.
You know?
Hey, hold that book up again, Michiko, and open it up a little bit for a couple of, so people could see what an ugly symmetrical one looks like. Do they have that in there or no?
I would like to show Okay.
This is what your stinking thinking gets you. I mean, this is how your molecular structure lines up molecularly.
Can you see?
Yeah, I see right down below. Yeah.
All right.
Wow, look at
Okay.
that. That's
This is
amazing.
from Thank You and You Fool. The
Right.
symmetrical, beautiful crystal is from Thank You. And the other one, ugly one, is from You Fool. And that's how water is forming at the molecular level. And we are made up 70% of water.
70%. Wow.
And this is why we want to be using positive words and being positive, being good, having good emotions, positive and kind emotions, because this happens to us, to the environment also, to our pets, plants, everything.
I hope everybody can really connect the dots here. I mean, it's not really a far-fetched connecting dots, but we got a caller coming in. We're going to take that here in a second. But it's so it's so critical, Michiko, to be able to connect the dots that how we think and feel affects not only our molecular structure in our bodies, but also outside of ourselves, which we'll talk about too. But caller, how are you? Well, thanks for calling in. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Idrisha.
Hey, Drisha. What do you have a question for Michiko?
I was wondering, how does water affect your mindfulness?
Ooh, how does water affect your mindfulness? That's interesting. So, so it's almost like it's chicken or the egg, right? Thanks for calling in, Idrisha. It's almost like the chicken or the egg, right? Mindfulness affects the water, or the water affects the mindfulness. I mean, think about that for a second. Because if you have, like, say you have water, but say you have like dirty water, right? Negative intended water. Like, say you go to a I don't know, a Satanist shop, and they have this asymmetrical water, right? You drink it. How does that affect your body if you're drinking asymmetrical water?
Okay, now what we know from our experiments, well, that Dr. Emoto did for many times, is that even to polluted water, if we send our intention, good intention, with love and gratitude, then the molecular of that water changes for the better. So what we can, because we are all water, so all we need is to send out good intention with love and gratitude. That really changes. And when we drink water, we drink it with love and gratitude always.
But what if you're not, though? I mean, the question is, what if you're not thinking positively? And what if you got water already that's negative, or you say you were neutral and you got water that's already asymmetrical water that's not positive asymmetrical water? You drink that. Is there experiments where that actually could change your mood? Could that change your mood?
If it's the water is not
symmetrical,
then it affects our physical body also.
Right.
And that's why we want to change it before we drink it.
Funny thing you just said that. It makes sense now why rabbis bless their food, why you sit down and eat your dinner, you give a prayer of gratefulness and thankfulness. Are we actually changing the molecular structure of our food before we eat it and giving grateful and thankfulness?
In the Christian world, I think you used to always bless your food before you eat. You were always saying thank you to the food, and then you started eating, I think. And in Japan, we say itadakimasu. That means thank you for the life that we're having right now. And then we eat. So we're blessing the food just before we start eating. So I think there's a reason why everybody was doing it around the world.
Right. No, I think that's fascinating. It's a really interesting thought. And Drisha, thank you so much. I just realized who Drisha was. thanks for calling in. And the great question, because, that's kind of takes you to a whole nother level of being careful of like, for example, you eat chicken. You eat chicken that was grown in a very harmful, horrible way. Not say free-range chickens, but chickens in a bad area. Their molecular structure is going to be poor versus chickens that are happy that are slaughtered, right? Versus more so, I guess, more humanely, right? So you have chicken or same chicken or same type of chicken, but one in a negative environment and one in a positive environment, that will affect your body differently, won't it?
Different, definitely. And you cannot see whether this chicken was raised in a positive environment or negative environment. It has a negative emotion or a positive emotion when they were killed. But when I eat, I'm not really completely vegetarian. So what I do is I cannot tell whether it's a good positive energy or not. So what I do is I appreciate it.
But before you eat or drink something, that if it was an asymmetrical drink or a negative experience, you're going to digest that vibration. Let's just call it vibrational food, high vibrational food, low vibrational food. So when we eat low vibrational food, that perhaps was in a negative environment and whatever it may be, that stays in the tissues, that stays in the cellular structure through this asymmetrical shape and not this beautiful symmetrical shape like a snowflake. So you're saying before we digest this, we can, with our thoughts and intentions, show feelings like gratitude, love, whatever, and then change that symmetrical molecular structure in this already cooked food, and then digest it, and it will have a different impact on our body.
That's what I say. You know, I think if everybody becomes vegetarian, I think it would be wonderful too. But as long as we have the food in front of us, let's say if the chicken is in there in the food, and some of the vegetarian people would say, I don't eat chicken, so they take the chicken out and they throw them away. But I feel really sad for those chicken because it's right in front of us and they don't want us to throw away.
They sacrifice their life for us to eat.
Exactly, yes. So what I do is I appreciate it and then I say thank you so much for your life and I love you and I eat it. So they would be happier that they are within me.
That is a beautiful intention. I love that. I mean,
so I can change that.
Wonderful, you know, and then it won't have that same effect, right? We have another caller coming in, Michiko. You got a hot topic here. So caller, hi, what's your name?
My name is Rainey. How are you?
Hey, Rainey. Yeah, you couldn't help yourself, right? You had to get in on this conversation.
I had to get in.
Shouldn't you be working? Shouldn't you be working somewhere right now?
I am.
What's your question, Rainey?
So my question is, I know it's really important to have the thought, but isn't it just as important to use our words to create that vibration to be able to change the cells of the water? So, you know, I might think, hey, you know, this is great and send a thought, but isn't it more powerful if we use our words too?
Interesting question. Thank you, Rainey, for calling in. Get back to work.
Okay, thank you so much, Rainey, for the question. Good question. Okay, now, the words is more powerful because it's a stronger vibration than thoughts. But if we say, if we use the words that do not come from our heart, that means it's different from how I feel.
It's intention.
Even though, yeah.
I agree with you. I think intention trumps words because I could say the word hate and have loving thoughts in my head because I learned the word hate means love when I was a kid. Whatever, my parents screwed me up, right? And but my point is, my intention is love. Even though I'm using the word hate and it means love, I'm still going to have a loving experience because it's all about the intention. The words really are meaningless if there's not the right intention behind it, right?
Yeah, you're right. But also, when we do the experiment, the words itself, each word has its own frequencies also. So when we when we did experiments with water, with different words in different languages, all the languages thank you in all the languages make beautiful crystals because the word thank you in all languages have beautiful energy.
A positive intention behind it. It's almost like it's almost like there's not a negative connotation of the word thank you, you know.
Right.
you know.
But how we feel, intention is really the most important than words, because that even though we say I hate you, but if I love that person, hate does not mean hate at that time.
Exactly. How many people, Wahid says, I hate you.
Right.
And she really loves you.
Small,
right?
but I love you.
Or, it works that way too, right?
We want to be honest, though. We want to teach them to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's like down in the South here, bless your heart, that's not a good thing to be said to, there's not a lot of positive intention behind that. So wonderful stuff. So what's next for you, Michiko? What are you working on now? I know you're sharing this incredible book showing children this incredible concept of how important our intentions.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, please, the website that you gave.
Yes.
Is
you want another one? Give me another one.
That is for just in Japanese, so people would probably appreciate learning about the English website. It's Emoto Peace Project.net.
Okay, Emoto Peace Project.
Peaceproject.net.
All right, Emoto Peace Project.net. Check that out. And then you can get the books for your children. Honestly, this is the best gift you could give your children, I think.
Well, thank you. I think so too.
Oh, God,
Children who learn about this. I have given my lectures to children in many different places, and some of the kids, even the boys, were saying, after my presentation, they would say, man, I didn't know water was so intelligent. So, to hear it, that gives them a really big impact.
Oh, and now they're connecting the dots and interconnecting with water, and water's in everything else. And so if you think the water's intelligence, then perhaps the water in this other person is intelligent. So maybe that person's intelligent, even though you may not think he is or she is,
We're energetic beings. We're communicating,
Amen. Amen to that. Well, listen, it's been wonderful having you on. I'd love to have you back. I'm looking forward to talking to you all in reference to you and Ted, and getting you guys on our advisory board as well. So we're getting you set up so to help us, because we really are on the same mission, are we not?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
we're doing the same thing. Thank you so much for having me and Ted as board of your beautiful foundation.
No.